Welcome back to Brush Up Your Game. I'm David, and today a look back at Wave 18's U.S.S. Phoenix. Um, for a while in Attack Wing, the Nebula class was kind of like the Akira class in that it just didn't really have a point. Uh, you had the Sovereign, you had the Intrepid, specifically Enterprise E and Voyager. You had a couple of the galaxies that were decently good. You had maybe like the couple of constitutions if you wanted something smaller. But these kind of middle fed ships just didn't really have a role. And the Phoenix, no real exception to that. Double crew, double weapon, a tech slot, 4144, 26 points. And this ability that doesn't really do much. Before you move, you may change your maneuver to another maneuver on your maneuver dial with the same speed. If you do so, place an aux power token beside your ship. And to understand the futility of this, we look at it and we go, okay, where is it useful? Uh, Maybe in the twos, turn a two straight into a two turn, a three into a three bank. Because if we go all the way to a three turn, I'm taking a red, an aux power for that, and an aux power for the named ability. And I just struggle to really make use of it. It's the same reason I struggle um, with abilities that let me change my maneuver after somebody's moved before I move. This is just something I don't feel like I need because I plan enough of what I'm doing ahead of time. Uh, Very rarely is something so drastic going to happen in the game that I have to spend a card, an ability to account for it. So that's where I'm at with the Phoenix. It just doesn't come into play. Um, Benjamin Maxwell is a 6 skill, 4 point captain with a talent. When attacking a ship with one of your secondary weapons during the modified attack dice step, you may re-roll any one of your attack dice. I suppose he could see some use on the how many times can I fire torpedo build. That is a potential for him between firing like torpedoes, secondary torpedo launcher, dispersal pattern Sierra, etc. Like I think there's a potential use, and because he has the when attacking feature, he could re-roll one attack die over and over and over again. But how much quality is he really getting? Not a ton, but it's better than nothing. And I think that there's at least a little something that I can work with that's a redeeming feature, I think. I'm not sure I love it enough, but I might mess around with him as the captain there and see if I can make him work. Hayden is a two skill 1 point captain. Also comes in admiral, but we'll look at the captain version first. Action: target a ship at range 1 to 2 that does not have your ship in its forward firing arc. That's tough to do at skill 2. Uh, if you attack that ship this round, gain 1 extra attack die and roll 1 less defense die. Cool X-Wing ability. Not a great attack wing ability. Give me quality over dice. And Admiral Hayden does the same thing, and I'll repeat, give me quality over dice. I like him a tiny bit more as the Admiral. If for no other reason than I can boost my captain skill for 1 point and not use a crew slot or a talent to do it. I also get to use this action after a bunch of ships have moved rather than probably having to do it first. And that gives me, again, more flexibility. But Hayden really wants to have ships that do come about, so you can kind of get behind the enemy, and Federation does not excel at that outside of these little teeny tiny ships like the NX, the Oberth class, the Defiant, and is is he really what you're going to do on those? Probably not. Prefix code, kind of made famous by Wrath of Khan and Kirk using the prefix code of Reliant to lower their shields. 5-point talent for an action discard, so we're already kind of on rocky ground. We're going to discard the card, target a ship at range 1 to 2 of your ship, disable up to 2 shield tokens on the target ship, and place an Aux Power token beside your ship. I could have done without the Aux Power token on my ship. At that point, I'm willing to take this as a one-time use to disable a couple of shields and hope for the best. But it a lot has to go right for this to matter. And I don't see enough going right for this to really make a difference in the game. I would rather take target locker battle stations to give myself quality. I would rather have I'd rather have a scan to make you roll one less defense die. That's essentially one less durability you're going to have. And I think all of that is cheaper than the 5 points I have to invest into this card. So I just don't see the cost benefit, and that's why prefix code, I don't think I've ever run it or even had any desire to run it. I could see it as part of a fleet that wants to work with the Vidians to lower shields, Klingon boarding party, the Nagvar, all of those things that lower shields. And you put enough of them together, you're going to make something fun happen. But the counter I always go and look at is projected stasis field, which lowers all the shields. Granted, I'm rolling less attack dice when I do it, but I get to lower all of your shields. And prefix code doesn't come close to that. And it's just kind of a rough trade. Quantum torpedoes, they're fine. We've seen them before. They get better. Photon torpedoes, they're time tokens. They're fine. They get better. Arsenal. This is a good card and is probably the reason why anybody wants to even buy the Phoenix, is because for 4 points you get to add 2 more weapon upgrade slots to your upgrade bar. And when you place time tokens on one of your other weapons, you place one of those tokens on this card. So essentially it's place one less time token. For any weapon that has 2 time tokens on it, you are firing it every turn. 3 time tokens you're getting to fire every other turn because of Arsenal, and Arsenal is a pretty good trade-off. Now, I think it's just a touch expensive. This would be a perfect 3.5 point card. Even a 3-point card would not make it brokenly good. It gets comboed with Sakona a lot, so it ends up being a 2-point card, and at that point I think it's really, really good because Sakona is also discounting those weapon upgrades that are coming in. But yeah, I do appreciate the stipulation here. No ship can have more than 1 Arsenal. Otherwise, people would have bought a lot of U.S.S. Phoenix, and I'm glad that they didn't, because nothing else in the pack is really worth it. High energy sensor sweep. Now, this is a reprint of the one that came on the Nebula, the Sutherland, the first Sutherland, the prize Sutherland. After you move, you may disable 1 active shield to perform a free scan action. No ship can have more than 1. As a 5-point tech, there's kind of a cycle with this card. It started off being pretty good because you're like, yeah, sure, I'll disable 1 shield, get a free scan, live to fight another day, probably. And it's like, whoa, people are rolling way too many dice. I can't possibly give that up. Scan isn't that good. So I'm not going to run this. I got other tech I can bring in, whatever. Now, I think there's some possibilities with this, but I don't think the play is on Federation ships. I think it's on Vulcan ships. Because if you're looking for scan shenanigans, which is what this enables, why not get a free scan action in addition to all of the other scans that you're placing? I don't have the full build of it fleshed out. I think that there's potential with it. I think it's a card that time is kind of forgotten, and nowadays it is definitely overpriced. I think this would be a really cool alliance card just to bring in and add to the possibilities because it's not crazy good, but it gives you a nice option. Not that Fed need another way to do scan, but as a free scan action, trading off a shield, you might think about it. And then we get to the crew. So Terry is a 4-point unique crew, and action disable this card and 2 of your active shields to repair 1 damage to your ship's hull. I look at the comparison to Exocomp, and Exocomp just does this better. Not an action, not a disable, don't have to risk my active shields, and I'm still getting the same repair. Terry is 2 actions for 1 extra survivability, unless you know for a fact that you cannot be attacked in any possible way. And evade's always better. And cards like this, Terry is 1, very mispriced, and 2 should not be as detrimental as it is. Elizabeth Lentz, nice DS9 call out, a 1-point crew, and anytime you may discard this card to remove 1 disabled token from one of your crew or tech upgrades, then place 2 time tokens on that upgrade. I like the trade-off. I like the inspiration for Julian Bashir, the really good one, at least what would become Julian Bashir. But this version of Elizabeth Lentz, the only version of Elizabeth Lentz, is not a bad card at all, because you can disable a card, and then in that same round, you can use Elizabeth Lentz, put 2 time tokens on the card. You're not going to get it back the next round, but you'll get it back the round after. And that's still probably more useful than the action you were going to have to take to ever see the card again. You have had an action for at least the next round, and I think that it keeps you in the fight. This is one of the very few ways that tech gets to be re-enabled easily. I wouldn't mess around with Elizabeth Lentz on crew. There's better ways for that. But for tech, she's quite nice. Now, for crew, you can have Ezri on the same ship, and then Elizabeth Lentz turns any crew into you're getting it back next turn. So that's a fun little combo. Again, I don't know how needed that is, but if you want really extra security, that's not bad. And then we have Aft Torpedo Launcher. This is a 3-point question mark upgrade. Can only go on a whole 4+ ship. And you can fill one of your crew, tech, or weapon upgrade slots with this car. How an Aft Torpedo Launcher got registered as a crew and an Exocomp did not, I will never understand that. Justice for Peanut Hamper. When attacking with a Photon Torpedoes upgrade, you may disable this card to target a ship that's not in your forward firing arc. That's pretty cool. This upgrade may only be purchased for a ship with a hull of 4 or more that does not have a rear firing arc. So Akira's and Nebula's, because it costs 5 more if purchased for any non-Federation ship. And as much as I want to put 360 firing torpedoes on, like a Dideradix, I'm not paying 9 more points to do it. This is a nice idea. It's a cool way to fix bad firing arcs. I don't even mind now that it's photon torpedo only, because there's enough really good photons out there. I like the flexibility of slots. I like a lot here. So, after torpedo launcher, a card again that I think time is forgetting because it's question mark upgrade. A lot of people don't remember their question mark upgrades. This one's a good one, and I think it, in combination with Elizabeth Lentz and Arsenal, are the best cards in this pack. Are a good reason to get this pack, and the Captain Benjamin Maxwell, not a bad option to combo with the pack. But the Phoenix overall, it's okay. You're buying it for upgrades, not for the ship. And as much as I hate to say that a pack is good to do that with, I think the Phoenix is kind of one of those packs where it gives you some cool options. Do you have to have it? If you like some cool Fed builds that do weird things, yeah, I think you do. But you also don't have to have it, uh, if you get what I mean. So, thank you all for watching. Appreciate your time. And until next time, keep brushing up your game. Take care.